boys and girls. Welcome to Everyday Math Lesson 11.2, Subtraction Number Stories with Dollars and Cents. The only materials that you'll need today are just your pencil and your math journal. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over our math boxes from the previous lesson. So if you can open up to journal page 263. If you're noticing that you have any mistakes, please fix those with your pencil and eraser. So for question number 1, circle the unit that makes sense. So if I'm looking at Grandma's house, I would know that that's 5 km or 5 kilometers away. Mona's goldfish would be 8 centimeters long. Ahmed's dad would be 68 inches tall. For question number 2, circle the fraction that is bigger. Use your fraction cards to help. I also talked about that reference of a half. So when I look at this first one, 2/3 or 2/2, well, I know that if I had 2 over 2, I would have the whole thing. So 2 over 2 would be more than just 2 out of 3. If I have 4/5 or 2/5, I know that 2/5 is less than half, where 4/5 is more than half. So 4/5 would be the greater fraction. I also can see that 5 is the same on both of those. So I know if I have 4 out of the 5 pieces, that's going to be more than if I just have 2 out of the 5 pieces. If I have 2/8 or 5/6, I know if I'm at 5/6, I'm really close to having the whole thing. 5/6 is also greater than half, where 2/8 is much smaller than a half, and 2/8 is not very close to having almost the whole thing. If I have 3/6, 3/6 is actually equal to a half, where 1/4 is smaller than a half. I would need to have 2/4 in order for it to be equal to a half. So the following 4 fractions were the ones that were the greater fraction. For question number 3, write a number with a 5 in the thousands place. Now there's lots of possible answers. You just need to make sure that you have a 5 in your front spot right here. The ones in the hundreds, tens, and ones place could be something completely different. And then what is the value of the 5 in your number? You should have 5,000. Draw a 3 by 6 array, and you can see that we have a total of 18 because 3 times 6 is equal to 18. If I had a $10 bill and spent $8.90, how much change would that be? Well, if I start at $8.90 and I add a dime, 10, that would get me to $9. Then one more dollar would get me to $10, which gives me a total change of $1.10. For question number 6, you're writing the fact family using 4, 2, and 8. So for these first two, they could be in either order. You could either do 4 times 2 equals 8 first, or you could have done 2 times 4 equals 8. And then for the bottom two, you should have had 8 divided by 4 equals 2, and 8 divided by 2 equals 4. Boys and girls, if you notice again that you had any wrong, please fix those mistakes with your pencil and eraser. For today's lesson, we're just going to keep going right in our math journal. We're going to use this art supply poster when we are working with page 266. So we're kind of going to be flipping back and forth. So let's look at page 266 first. So in problems 1 through 6, we need to circle the item that costs more. Then we're going to find out how much more. Now you're going to notice that I'm going to do most of my work along the side of the page. If you're coming across there, you don't have enough room to work out on the side or in the box, then maybe you want to use a notebook piece of paper for working out the problems. So let's look at problem number 1 together, and then I'll ask that you complete the rest of the page on your own. We'll talk about number 1 first. So the two that I'm looking for are glue and markers. So if I went to my chart and look at the price of glue is 84 cents, the price of markers is $1.37. So I know that markers are more. Now when I want to know how much more, I need to subtract. So notice how I'm going to write my two prices. I know $1.37 minus 84 cents. That's the problem that I need to solve. Well, 7 minus 4 is going to equal 3. Now notice how I can't do 3 minus 8, so I need to borrow. I need to do some regrouping. I'm going to change that 1 to a 0, and now this 3, I'm getting that 10 added to it. So it's no longer a 3, now it's a 13. 13 minus 8 is 5. Again, just like in the previous lesson, my decimal point is going to come straight down, and then I can just add that 0 in front of it for a placeholder. So then answering the question, how much more do markers cost? They cost 53 cents more. So boys and girls, I would like you to try solving problems 2 through 6 on your own, and then press play when you're ready to hear the answers. So for question number 2, we are looking at construction paper and we're looking at paintbrushes. And I know that paintbrushes are more because when I looked at my chart, I can see that construction paper is only 65 cents, where paintbrushes are $1.54. Now to figure out how much more, I'm going to subtract the two. So I'm going to subtract $1.54 minus 65 cents. I need to do some borrowing because I can't subtract 4 minus 5. So I first went right next door to the 5 and I changed that to a 4. Now I can do 14 minus 5, which equals 9. Now when I just had a 4 here, I could not subtract 4 minus 6. So I needed to borrow again, and I changed that 1 to a 0, and then I can put my 1 in front. So now I'm doing 14 minus 6, which is equal to 8. And then I have 0 minus 0, which is 0. So how much more? It was 89 cents more. For question number 3, we're comparing pipe cleaners or paintbrushes. Now again, I looked at my poster on page 264 to find my prices. And I know that I had $1.54 and I had 76 cents. So the paintbrushes were the ones that cost more. Now when I'm subtracting, just like in the earlier problem, so I first needed to go next door, I changed that 5 to a 4, so I can now have 14 instead of 4. 14 minus 6 is 8. Now I couldn't do 4 minus 7, so I needed to borrow again. I changed that 1 to a 0 and added my 10. So now I have 14 minus 7, which is 7, and then my 0 can come straight down, holding that place. So the paintbrush is 78 cents more. For question number 4, I had a rolling pin or a scissors. So looking at my prices, I had $3.34 minus $2.23. This is a really nice problem because it's already set up for me. 4 minus 3 I know is 1, 3 minus 2 is also 1, and 3 minus 2 is 1 again. So I have the price $1.11. If I'm going too fast, please pause as often as needed. For question number 5, we have watercolors or markers. So watercolors were $3.41 and markers were $1.37. Now I can't do 1 minus 7, so I went next door, I changed my 4 to a 3, my 1 now becomes an 11. 11 minus 7 is 4, 3 minus 3 is 0, and then 3 minus 1 is 2. Notice how my decimal point comes straight down, giving me the price of $2.04. For number 6, we had the paintbrush or watercolors, and we had $3.41 minus $1.54. So I know the watercolors were the ones that cost more. Now I couldn't do 1 minus 4, so I went next door to the 4, changed it to a 3. My 1 now became an 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. Now I couldn't do 3 minus 5, so I went next door, changed the 3 to a 2, and this 3 now became a 13. 13 minus 5 is 8. 2 minus 1 is 1. My decimal point comes straight down, giving me $1.87. Boys and girls, if you have any questions on the top part of the page, you can ask your classroom teacher for a little bit of help. But now we will be talking about the second half, the bottom part of the page. So if you want to look at question number 7, I'll read it to you, and then you can pause to answer before hearing the answer. So for question number 7, you buy a pack of construction paper. You pay with a $1 bill. Should you get more or less than 2/4 in change? Press pause and then play when you're ready to hear the answer. Boys and girls, when I look at my poster, I know that the construction paper was 65 cents and I'm paying with $1. And so if I'm at 65, I would probably have a dime next to get me to 75 and then a quarter to get me to 35 cents, which would be my change, or a quarter to get me to $1. So is 35 cents more or less than 2/4? If you said less, you are correct. Here's question 8. You buy pipe cleaners. You pay with a $1 bill. How much change should you get? Press pause and then play when you're ready to hear the answer. So when I find my price for pipe cleaners, I know pipe cleaners are 76 cents and I'm paying with a $1 bill. So if I'm at 76 cents, I can think, well, a dime is going to get me to 86, another dime is going to get me to 96, and then I can add my pennies. I could have done it the other way too. I could have started with 76 and added my pennies first to get to 80 and then go back and add my dimes. That's probably the way that you did, is doing your pennies first. But either way, we're still going to get the same answer of 24 cents. For our last one, you buy a rolling pin. You pay with a $5 bill. How much change should you get? Press pause and then play when you're ready to hear the answer. So if the rolling pin is $3.34 and I want to get to $5, I can add my penny first this time to get to $3.35, and then a nickel to get to $3.40, a dime to get to $3.50, and then 2/4 to get me to $4. From $4, I can add $1 to get me a total change of $1.66. All right, boys and girls, the last thing that we're going to do today is just talk about our math boxes. So our math box page is 268. For question 1, solve and show your work for 47 minus 39. For question 2, what is the minimum number? And they give you the clue. Minimum means the smallest number in this list. For question 3, what shape is a globe? Circle the best choice. Question 4, 20 campers divided equally among 5 tents. How many campers in each tent? You could draw an array to divide the 20 into 5 equal groups. For question 5, fill in the missing numbers. If you're having trouble, I would just ignore the 1 and the 0 for a moment and just really focus on the tens place and the ones place, and then you can always go back and add your 0 and your 1 after. And then for question number 6, what is the range of this set of numbers? So when we're finding the range, we first want to find the biggest or the largest number and then the smallest. And you want to minus the largest, or take the largest minus the smallest to find that range. Once you're all done, please take a picture and send that picture to your classroom teacher on Seesaw. We will see you next time. Thank you.